Welcome to Epic Conversations. I'm not Diane, I'm John. We've hijacked the show, and this is COVID-19 thing, so that's what the mask is, but I'm free, and who the Son has set free is free indeed. And we're talking to you about men and where they go and seek God. And David, you were just on a camping trip with God. Would you care to explain and talk about what you got from God when you're there, and what happens to you when you're there?
Well, first off, he told me I didn't have to fear. That's why I wasn't afraid while you were sitting there with a mask on like a bank robber.
Oh, okay.
From the Old West.
Mm-hmm.
And me, having had to check my gun at the hotel front desk. So I was glad I was on the trip. But honestly, I like to go camping with God. I love the outdoors. I love the ruggedness of it. Not that I would have wanted to live in the 1800s where there'd be gunfights, because I'm not sure I would have won. My life might have been cut short. But I love getting out there just to enjoy the beauty, but also just get away with God. And so whenever I go, it's usually a couple times a year. It's fasting and it's reading the Word a lot and just enjoying. I mean, it's not like I'm sitting there in my tent or at the picnic table just reading all the time or constant prayer. It's like, let me get out, because God created all this, and He did a phenomenal job. And so I get out there and I enjoy it. I go hiking. This time I took my kayak with me and I went canoeing. And yes, I was loaded, but I was sober-minded. But I was loaded, with my gun at the time. But I just get out there and talk to God, and I read His Word, because a lot of times He talks through His Word. But here's the neat thing. So I'm talking to God about something He shared with me a few years ago, and each time I go, I get a little deeper in it. And so I ask Him, God, is there more coming now on this topic? And He's getting where He answers me quicker. So I don't know if I just hear faster or if He's just, starting to take me seriously, which is hard to do. Especially when I asked Him, God, is there more? What's going on here? And His answer was, are you ready to get serious?
Okay.
But God, you gave me this gifting.
One thing I learned is that we've got 1 mouth and 2 ears. That must tell us that we have to listen more than we speak. Be still and know that God is God. We're not.
Exactly. And so the next day it rained quite a bit. So the next day I'm sitting in my tent. I've got the fly open because it was raining, but it was a direction so I could sit there. I was reading my Bible and just looking out at the field across there. And I just read in Matthew where it says, does not a sparrow fall from the sky that God doesn't know about it. And I happen to look outside and I see these two birds flying over, and because I wasn't ready to get serious yet, I said, yeah, but God, they can fly. Because it is pretty cool. I mean, who wouldn't want to fly? Yeah, and immediately he said, yeah, but David, you can speak. Because he keeps bringing me back, don't judge what they have. Don't judge their ability. What do you have? Because a year ago he talked to me about speaking. And so that was my adventure. I'm supposed to get serious and realize I can speak even if I can't fly. But I wonder why Jesus walked on the water and not flew through the air.
Interesting.
But He did say that we would do things that He did and even greater things. So maybe that means we will get to fly.
So when you were on the lake, did you think about getting up and walking on the water?
No.
Okay.
No, never crossed my mind.
Okay.
So I go camping with God. How do you get with God?
In my basement. I'm a basement guy. That's my man cave. I go down. I go down there, kick my feet up, and I cogitate. Like Slim Pickens would say, I cogitate on the Word of God that I know. And right now I'm going through the Book of Revelations, and I have a study Bible, so I go very slowly. I call it the minefield technique. The minefield. So in other words, I'm going slow, not reading things quickly, just going slowly, so I can grasp. And there's some things I don't know. I go and look it up. What does this mean? In context, then and now. And so that's what I do. I have the anointed basement.
So you talked about you read through there slowly. Leslie and I were just at a leadership seminar, and one of the pastors who was speaking there, talked about our pace, and we each have a different pace, but our pace can get sped up or slowed down by what's going on. And he said, you need to find the pace of grace. And so with you, it sounds like your pace is slow reading and comprehension.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I like that. That's right.
So, while you're cogitating?
Cogitating. Slim Pickens would say, that's his way of saying, I'm thinking, I'm downloading. He's cogitating. If you ever watch some of the old Westerns, Slim Pickens, he would say, I'm cogitating, boys.
So
something along those lines.
That has nothing to do with taters.
No, not about taters or agitators or commentators, but thinking. Yep. Since we've hijacked the show and the ladies are out shopping, I thought maybe later, maybe sometime we can go to REI or we can go to Bass Pro Shop or Magnum or any one of those places where we go and just kind of look.
Just kind of
look at
cogitate the guns.
Yeah, it's like, just look at them. And look at the different people in line. God made all different type of people, and look at what kind of guns they're looking at.
And think slowly about whether we should buy that fishing pole or that gun.
Yes, and
see what
God
said.
And figure out how we can explain it to the wives.
Because since birds can fly, maybe that's why we have guns, so we can bring them down to our level.
Yes, I like that. And there's all different calibers. God made all calibers.
That's right.
But God, God was to say, Colonel Colt said, God made all men equal. But the 45 made, I got it backwards.
Now,
something along that line.
Was that the same guy that made the chicken? That was Colonel Sanders.
No, this is Colonel, what's his name? I'm trying to think of his name. He said basically, God made all men, but Colonel, not Colonel Sanders. I can't think of the guy's
Colonel
name.
Sanders must have had a gun
Colonel
because
Colt.
he got all those chickens.
Yeah, that's right, because he could shoot his chickens.
Yeah.
But Colonel Colt made all men equal, because you could be a fat man, tall man, skinny man, large man, and you just pick up a 45 revolver Colt and his Colt. So Colonel Colt, that's it, not Colonel Sanders. You could shoot a chicken with a pistol, but you can't shoot a pistol with a chicken. You could try.
That's true. And you can have the pistol, you can have the Bible, but if you don't open it or you don't put bullets in it, you've just got a big paperweight.
That's right.
But it's a cool paperweight.
Exactly. The guy who created us is in that book.
That's right.
All the information in life is in that book.
And he said in the beginning to, my wife has to remind me all the time, Cain and Abel, one killed the other. But, the one who ended up killing the other brother, when he first went to God, God said, sin is crouching at your door. Why do you come here angry? Well, if he had a gun, he might have killed the animal instead of his brother.
That's right.
I'm sure there's a reason for that, but
one day we'll find out.
Yeah. And he was he the farmer?
No. He was one that raised grain, the other one raised.
Yeah, because if he'd been the farmer, he would have been able to bury the other guy.
Just because he knows about the ground digging.
Because God either evidently didn't know where his brother was, because he said, "Where's your brother at?" And he says, "Who am I? My brother's keeper?" So either God didn't know, or God wanted him to get it out.
Also,
which is the struggle men have, is getting out our feelings. And if he'd gotten it out, he might not have killed his brother. So, but we're not going to get into that right now. That's between you and God.
That's right.
But, men need, woman is made for the helper. Man was made for the other men to help get us in trouble.
Yeah. And remember, wind is an elevation, like John Wayne said. And thank you for epic conversation.
We don't have a fancy closing.